Okay, welcome. Hi, everybody. We're ready to get started today. My name is Kathy Moxley, and I'm really happy to be here today to talk to you about fitness for the busy professional. And I know, obviously, the first joke that most people make, and someone already said today, is that a lot of us feel like we were too busy to get here, right? So I want to congratulate you on taking time out of your schedule to actually attend a talk about fitness for busy professionals. I spent a great deal of my career at Marriott International at the headquarters, which was basically being surrounded by busy professionals and in the wellness program for the headquarters employees there. And after that time, after my third child was born, he's 6 now, almost 7, I've been home and I've been focusing a lot on some of my work in the corporate world as before, but fitness for busy moms as well. Now, anyone here a mom? By chance, some of you are? Okay. There are some things that are tips that are helpful for moms and also women who are not moms and for men. So there's something for everyone. But what I figured out when I was focusing a little bit more on the mom population is that busy moms and busy professionals have a heck of a lot in common. Whatever it is you're busy with, we all have a lot of shifting priorities that we're trying to juggle. So hopefully today my goal is to leave you with possibly a new way to look at some of the things that you're juggling and how you're juggling the priorities in your life, as well as some tangible tips on how you can get started on something that will be right for you. In fact, my book is called The Busy Mom's Ultimate Fitness Guide, and my subtitle is Get Motivated and Find the Solution That Works for You. And I'm applying that same principle here today, which is it's two-part. Number one, get motivated, because isn't that the biggest problem that a lot of us have? You know, we know what we need to do, but what? How are we going to do it? We just can't seem to do it. All right, that's the first half. So motivation, the stuff in our head and the get up and go to continue something with some consistency over time is one of the biggest hurdles that most of us have. Okay, we know what to do to get results. It's a matter of doing it long enough until the results come. And then the second piece, find the solution that works for you. I'm going to present to you today kind of an array of options. In fact, the way I have it presented in my book, I have it similar today, is a speedometer approach, starting with a little, and then, hey, if you have a little more time on motivation, here's the next step. A little more time in motivation, here's the next step, and even more, here's the whole ball of wax. So what I'm going to challenge you today is to decide, hey, which level am I at for my home base? And then if life gets busier or my motivation isn't quite there, maybe I'll shift down. On times or phases of my life where my motivation is higher or my time is more, it might shift up. But you're never going to have the option in my book of nothing. Okay? That way we'll be able to shift up and down and find something that really will work for you, because you are going to be the best expert on your schedule and what's going to work for you, right? But I'm going to give you some lots of food for thought. So to start with, we are going to pretend that I am not a fitness person at all, but rather I'm a pharmacist, okay? And this is what I am peddling. I have a pill that has all of these fabulous benefits. Lowers your risk of a host of diseases, increases your bone density, helps your heart and lungs, strengthens your muscles and bones, improves your flexibility, helps you lose weight, helps you sleep better, helps back pain, stress, depression. Who wants my pill? Who did not raise their hand? Is anyone going to admit the fact they didn't raise their hand? Why not? That's right, because what? Do we all want this pill, yes or no? Yes. Yes. And in fact, are many people searching for this pill? Yes. And where are they searching for it? GNC. That's exactly right. That's where they are. They're at GNC. Oh, this will help me sleep better. Oh, this can give me more energy. Oh, so we are constantly looking for pills to do these things, aren't we? Okay? Because where do we put our faith? Where do we put our faith? In a pill. It says it on the bottle. It says it right here. This is what it's going to do. So we believe it. So anyway, I do have this pill. In fact, it has more than this. How many bullets do I have up here? Like 12? 3, 6, 9, something like that? 12 or 15 bullets? I could sit down, and I did sit down one day, and wrote out 65 benefits of my pill. Actually, it was 68. In one sitting without stopping. This pill that I have to peddle. Okay, but I can't give you a whole bottle of them. Okay, it's not dispensed that way. It's only a single daily dose, all right? And it's right here on campus. What building are we in, 45? Let's pick a number, building 10. How far away is that from here? How much? Maybe 5, 10 minute walk? 10. Hey, okay, it's in building 10. Okay, this pill is available in building 10. You gotta walk on over there, no cars allowed, it's pedestrian only zone, get your pill and come back. Okay, but the bottle says it's gonna have all of these things. So since the bottle says that, are you going to walk on over there and get your pill? Okay. So what is it? Is it the pill? Am I just giving you a little sugar pill placebo? What is actually giving you the benefit?
The walk.
Where the walk was doing all of this? But what do we say? Oh, she's just talking about exercise again. I've heard that before. Because when we hear about the benefits of exercise and how fabulous it is, you're going to see that every magazine article, every newspaper that you pick up talks about how great exercise is. So what does it start to sound like? What else are we supposed to do that we have this guilt about? We're supposed to do, we're supposed to lower our salt, we're supposed to floss our teeth, we're supposed to do self-breast exams, we're supposed to, the shoulds are endless, aren't they? All the things that we're supposed to do for our health. So my job today is to help you get a little bit past that hurdle of, oh, it's just one more thing I have to do. Because what happens is that when we find a personally compelling motivator, something that really speaks to us, we are more likely to act. And then if on top of that, we've gotten some personally compelling motivator and some click has gone off in our head to really motivate us, and then we figured out, hey, maybe it's not as hard as I thought it was, then we have some possibility of really making some changes. So, but the reason why I like to talk about this and start everything off in this kind of scenario of a magic pill is that I mentioned all those other things that we could be doing for our health, and they are all good for us. We're also supposed to be eating more fruits and vegetables. We're supposed to wear our seatbelts. We're supposed to do a lot of things. But research has shown that of all the possible single health changes that we could make, exercise has more benefits is more areas with farther reaching health consequences in the positive than any other single health habit change that we can make, besides quitting smoking if you're a smoker. Okay, so if you're a non-smoker, all that whole big list, all that stuff we're supposed to do, nothing will have as big of an impact in as many categories as exercise. So it's really powerful. It is the magic pill. It really and truly is. So why aren't we all doing it? Okay, my list is not 68 items long, but it could be, couldn't it? Because even though those benefits are true and tangible, sometimes they're vague and they're out there. They're not really close up. Where are the obstacles in our life? They are. Aren't they like 6 feet in front of our faces? Okay? It's that report that was due. It's your 10-year-old who forgot his glasses for the 4th time that month. It's the what? What else? Procrastinating. But are they real things too? Is it the sick child? Is it the dinner guests? Is it the whatever the toilet that needs to be cleaned? I mean, what is it? It's all these things, right? We've got a really long list of things that we're trying to fit in, and somehow, where is exercise? It's going down, down, down. No time, too tired, too boring, too hard, don't need it, it's not convenient, I don't like to sweat. I've heard them all, okay? Heard them all. And from my point of view, when I'm trying to get a little funny about it, what do they start to sound like? The dog ate my homework. Oh, yeah, you're right, I should start doing it. No.
Another one is travel.
Travel, business travel. It really does become tough. And in fact, I'm glad you brought that up because we'll address that. Because someone who has a lot of business travel as part of their daily life, their weekly, monthly life, then we have to have a strategy for what they're going to do while they're on business travel. Because I have met with people before, clients who said, let me set them up on their exercise routine at the gym near their house, and it's a great routine, and they say, okay, great, we're all set. And then, except I travel on business sometimes. Okay, well, how much? Only 3 weeks out of the month. It's like, well, we should be talking about what you're going to do on the road, not what you're going to do when you're home. So we have to take all of that into account for the big picture here. All right, so overcoming the obstacles. How are we going to make all this work? And a couple of you said it. We are our own obstacle, aren't we? Okay, we really are. And in fact, the mental obstacles are quite oftentimes bigger than the physical obstacles to exercise. And I'm going to talk about a couple of them here, and we're just going to, again, go through them and have you ask yourself, does that one apply to me? Does that one apply to me? Because a lot of it is cultural. Okay, a lot of it is just the world we live in, and we've gotten so used unless we reframe it, we shoot ourselves in the foot, and we pretty much, sometimes we stop before we even start. So the first two I have up there are some mindsets, all or none. How many of us have stopped exercising or skipped a particular workout because we didn't have time for it? Okay? Because, and if we continue on that line of thought, it's because, why didn't we have time for it? Because by the time we drove over there, did our elliptical, and did the weights, and showered, and got back home, it was going to be too long. I'll just go another day. And what happened on the other day? Yeah. And then, but you know what? But I'll definitely do it on the weekend. And then we didn't have time then either. So what ends up happening is that we had this idea in our mind of it's got to be, you know, this much cardio, this much weights, a shower, and you know, whatever it is, it's got to look like this. And if I don't have time for this, I'm not going to do it at all. And if enough days or weeks go by that we didn't do that routine, then how hard is it to get back to the gym? You know, it's really hard. So one of the best things that we can do, a strategy, is to say, hey, I don't have time for all of it, I'll just go do a quick cardio. Okay? Or I don't even have time to get to the gym, so I'm going to go for a little quick walk around campus instead. So, and what's the, you know, when you look at the positive person on this shoulder and the negative little voice in your head on this other shoulder, what is the negative voice going to tell you about going for a quick walk around campus instead of going to the gym for your workout? Right. The big one I was looking for was, that's not enough to matter. That's not going to do anything. But I am here to tell you it does. Okay? Because the biggest thing that it does is it fosters consistency. It fosters the habit. And one of the phrases that is my, I guess my cornerstone phrase that I say to every client, in every seminar, in every book I ever write, in every article I ever write, is habit is more important than content in my book. And I've been in the fitness industry for a lot of years, and hands down, habit is more important than content. Because if you don't have habit, you ain't got nothing. All right? You've wasted your money on me. Someone hires me to come and develop an exercise routine for them, and they do it 4.5 times. That doesn't do anything for you. It's not the content. It's the fact that you're still doing it a year and a half from now. That's what matters. So if you don't have time for, or the motivation for, a big old content now, if you just do that little walk, then you still have exercise on the brain. You still have exercise in your lifestyle. And then when you can build it back up to more, it'll get back up there because you're still in the game. And that's more important because we all know that getting back into the habit is so much harder than staying in the habit, isn't it? So, taking that one step further, how about the 5-minute walk? I tell some people, I recommend a 5-minute walk after dinner. That's what I think you should do for now. And so the bad voice says, what does the bad voice say again? That's not going to do anything. But when you start that 5-minute walk after work, guess what happens? Some of the times it turns into 10. And then another time you bump into a neighbor who says, hey, do you want to walk on Saturday morning? And then the other time you're talking with your spouse while you're doing that 5-minute walk, and you say, you know what, I did see a special for that health club near us. Maybe we should check that out. And next thing you know, you're starting to think about exercise a little more often. It's part of what you do. And then your world opens up to more options, okay? Because we didn't just like shoot it down before we even got anywhere. Okay, that's how it matters. Now, weighing the costs and benefits, we already started doing that today. When we really can bring home the benefits instead of just saying, hey, I know exercise is good for me, when we've actually made a list of 68 things, and we've even personalized them and really, you know, had them brought close to home, and then we can actually get there. The cost, the next step is not only just personalizing them, because we want to take a look instead of saying it's everything. A lot of times we do a kitchen sink thing. It's just everything. We don't even know where to begin. So, okay, let's problem solve. Anticipating, strategizing. Okay, is it my problem that I can't get out of bed in the morning? You know, I'm just not a morning person. Is it that I say I'm going to do in the evening, but something always comes up, or I'm too tired? I mean, what is it for you? Figuring out what the obstacles are for you and strategizing around them. The click factor is that once you actually achieve what you're trying to get to, which is the habit, you become one of these people who it's just what you do. Okay, it's just what you do. How many other things in our lives do we know can we apply this click factor to? Something that just is the way you do it, and it's just, you know, it's not an option anymore. We have things in our lives that are negotiable and things that are non-negotiable. Tell me something in your daily life that's non-negotiable. You never say you don't have time for. Coming to work. There is that thing called a mortgage now, isn't there? We've got, brushing your teeth. That's the example I like to use a lot of times. Has anyone ever said, I just didn't have time? Just didn't have time. Didn't brush my teeth this morning. No time. Okay, that's non-negotiable. No one ever says they don't have time to brush their teeth. For some people, they never say I didn't have time to exercise. Okay? They just do it. It's just part of what they do. Okay? Then we get into all the degrees again. How about making dinner? All right? Now, for those of you who are responsible for preparing dinner for a group of people, it's not an option just to not do it. Okay? Is it always a gourmet meal? Is it always something from scratch? Sometimes it's carry-out. Sometimes it's leftovers. Sometimes it's cereal. But it's something, right? You don't just say, oh, there is no dinner tonight. It's just, you don't do that. I have a friend who said once years ago, he's a dad, though, had 3 young kids. He's like, don't you wish there was a pill you could take to be done with dinner? There's no preparation, no cleanup, no trouble. Just take a pill and have the mealtime be over with, that you're fed and nourished. Anyway. Okay, the last bullet on this slide I want to talk about before we move on is accepting ownership, all right, and admitting your priorities, because this is not a bad thing. This is not going to be a exercise isn't a priority for you, you're a bad person type of thing. What it is all of us acknowledging the constantly shifting priorities that we have in our lives, and that we're all just making choices, and they're not good or bad, they're just personalized. For instance, how many of us say we don't have time to exercise 3 times a week for half an hour right now? Just can't work it out. Okay? All right? There's just no time. How about, as part of the work-life program at NIH, they are rewarding all employees who exercise 3 times a week for 30 minutes with $1 million. Do you have time now? Suddenly! How many of you said you didn't have time? Who's going to raise their hand back up? Who said they weren't going to have time? Who said they didn't have time? And you guys are going to raise it again, are you? You're like, Are we reevaluating? Maybe I have time. All right, I had another client. Young guy, late 20s, computer programmer, no time for exercise, none at all. Project after project, late night after late night. He was just, he was just throwing a pity party, okay? He did get to the gym one night with this program I set up for him, and guess what happened there? He saw this girl he liked. She was a little bit cute. Suddenly, he had time to exercise. Suddenly, he was wrapping up those projects, getting on out the door, getting over to the gym. But he didn't have time. So again, it's not about time, is it? It's about priorities. Something shifts up, something else shifts down, but we just have to admit them, accept them, and if it's not a high priority now, maybe it will be later. So once we, accept that, it's like, what? Are all of our scrapbooks up to date? Are all of our closets cleaned out? We don't have time for everything all the time, but something at some point pushes some project or another to the top. Okay, that's the point here, I guess. So, all right, moving on. Hopefully, that little first, I think what we're talking about today, our whole time together is going to be divided into thirds. That was the first third, kind of the rah-rah, motivational stuff. Next, this middle third is going to be the nuts and bolts of fitness, okay? If you are now kind of on board with thinking, maybe I can make a little more time. Maybe I can't afford not to make a little more time for exercise. Now, this middle portion is for me to help you figure out that maybe it's not as hard as I thought. Or maybe it doesn't have to be as time-consuming as I thought. Then, once we marry those 2 things, man, you'll be in business, okay? So, we start off with, I call it the Ultra Quick Fitness Primer. There are 5 components of fitness here that pretty much give a well-rounded, physically fit body, and they all can funnel into 3 buckets of exercise, 3 kinds of exercise. If you have something in your routine that is aerobic exercise, something that's weight training, and something for flexibility, then you'll be well-rounded. Now, maybe it's not going to be all equally balanced when you're starting out. You might be doing a little more of one than the other, but these are the 3 categories to hit, and they all have their benefits. Now, I don't need to tout all the benefits of aerobic exercise, do I? We all know aerobic exercise is fabulously wonderful, helping us with not only making our heart and lungs stronger, but reducing our risk of disease, helping us with bone density and weight loss and all kinds of things. All right? And also, thankfully, aerobic exercise is the category that doesn't need as much instruction as others. Right? Basically, you just move and keep moving and keep moving and keep moving. Okay? Anything that uses large muscle groups over an extended period of time at a somewhat hard intensity is aerobic. Okay? Now, what would be considered aerobic for one person might not be what's considered aerobic for another person, now would it? Okay? Depending on our fitness levels. We've got Lance Armstrong, who needs to run at a really fast pace or ride his bike at a really fast pace for it to be considered somewhat hard. Okay? If I were to try to run, and see Lance, of course, is a bicyclist, and he decided just as a hobby he'd run the Boston Marathon, right? Came in 2 hours, okay? So if I were to try to run at the pace that Lance Armstrong was running the marathon, that would not be aerobic for me. I'd be laying on the grass after a block, okay, trying to catch my breath. That's not aerobic for me. Okay? I could do a slow jog, or I could do a really brisk walk, and that would be what's considered somewhat hard for me. So each person has to find the intensity level that's right for them. Of course, this is the short version of, there are much more specific ways to find out your intensity with heart rates and all that stuff, but that's, that could be for later. Just trying to pick your interest for now. Has to feel somewhat hard. If you're one of those people on a stationary bike at a health club and you're pedaling basically non-existent while your head is in the People magazine like this, that's not really aerobic, just so you know. Okay? Your feet have to actually, be moving at something that feels a little bit vigorous, just a little bit vigorous at least. But as far as time, 20 minutes is a great ballpark, for you hear everywhere 20 minutes of cardio. If you don't have time for 20, guess what? 15's okay. If you can't do 15, 10's okay. Didn't I say 5 was okay? I have a client who started with 1 minute on the treadmill. 1. But you know what? She got in the habit of doing it every day. She got in from work, she got in that thing. Okay? And now she's built up. Now she's 10 or 12 minutes. And she had some real fatigue issues. So, I mean, it was the right choice for her. But you know what? It has to build. You have to give yourself room to let it grow. Weight training. I could talk about weight training forever. In fact, I usually do whole seminars just on weight training. And a lot of times I do follow-up sessions where we can teach people the exercises, because a lot of times, especially women, get intimidated with weight training. Isn't that true? Which machines, how much weight, and there's a lot. It feels like a lot to know. But the basic thing about weight training is that it is like the secret weapon for women and for people who are inactive. Because year by year by year, we lose muscle mass. As we age, if we're not doing something like weight training or something else that's really putting a load on our muscles. As we age, we lose muscle. As we lose muscle, our metabolism slows down. So that it's not, a lot of times we like to blame stuff on aging, the aging process itself. And a lot of the things that we think are due to aging are due to the loss of muscle that comes with the inactivity that comes with aging. Okay, it's not necessarily so much the physiological aging process itself. And this is where I like to ask another question. A lot of these things I like to just kind of plunk in these little philosophical, little thought-provoking questions as we're going out, is what type of 80-year-old do you want to be? Really? 80 or 85. I did this last week, and someone said, a sexy one. I was like, that's a good choice. That's a good choice. But really, if you spend any amount of time in the retirement communities, what do you see as far as, if you pick 10 85-year-olds, what are you going to see? Walkers and wheelchairs. But I was going for, you're going to see a range, aren't you? Some people have a heck of a lot more mobility than others. And that did not happen overnight. They started that. They earned that one way or the other, starting in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. We got every decade, starting from young adulthood until you're 85, to start earning one way or the other, or losing that muscle mass. So it's really something that you are investing in or not as we age. Now, when we get to the weight training, the next few slides, I'll show you kind of the framework of how this does not have to be long, it does not have to be overwhelming, and there is something for everyone. Because when we get overwhelmed, we start thinking, yeah, but you're supposed to substitute all the exercises or vary the exercise, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that. But when it really comes down to it, if you do a simple, tiny plan, isn't it better than nothing? Aren't your muscles going to be better off as we age than if you were doing nothing at all? So for the people who are in it as a hobby, yeah, go for it. Make it all fun and different. But you can also go with the basic bread and butter approach. Okay. Poor flexibility always gets kind of third billing there because it doesn't affect our appearance. Most of us, I guess I'll stretch at the end. Okay, but this is another thing that really does impact our health as we age, our range of motion as we age, our ability to be independent. So a few key stretches will go a long way, and I'll talk about those. Okay, here's my speedometer. I don't have the visual of a speedometer up there, the little graphic, but pretend this is the starting point, okay? This is the bare minimum. In fact, when I started off doing talks like this at Marriott years ago, I did a seminar called The Bare Minimum of Exercise. Because that's what a lot of us want, right? I mean, some people are into fitness for a hobby. Other ones, someone sat me down one time, set up and scheduled an appointment with me and said, look, you're into fitness. I get that. I'm not. Please tell me the bare minimum I could do to still be healthy. And I was like, that's great. We can do that. The bare minimum is a perfectly respectable goal. So this would be the bare minimum, okay? And this doesn't even require exercise clothes because a lot of us don't think of ourselves as people who wear exercise clothes, right? Although with the change in our in the work environment, most work environments are more casual than they used to be. A lot of them are business casual. A lot of people are not wearing. Women are not wearing skirts or dresses as often, and we're usually wearing more comfortable shoes. A lot of us are wearing clothes that allow for more freedom of movement just in our daily lives. Okay? So there is a lot that can be done without changing into exercise clothes than it used to be. Okay? But here's what the Surgeon General was recommending: accumulating 30 minutes of activity on most days. Now, we can't get more generous and vague than that now, can we? But when we talk about all these things, walking, gardening, housework, the thing about this is we've heard this before. So again, my job today is not just to tell you this again, but to show you how it can make a difference and to get you to really think about really doing it. The first thing is looking at, I have more suggestions here, okay? But actually, I thought I had a slide on here for the physiological aspect, but I don't, so I'll just tell it to you. There's something called a MET, M-E-T. It stands for metabolic equivalent. And that equals how many calories you burn in 1 minute to sit here. All right? It's about 1 calorie a minute. All of you are burning about 1 calorie a minute. I, on the other hand, am standing. And anytime you stand up, you are at 1.5 METs. 50% higher calories to stand versus to sit per minute. Okay? So our 1 hour together spent today, you all are burning about 60 calories. Me being the metabolically superior being during this hour, I'm burning 90 calories for this hour. Okay? 30 extra calories. I think that's about 1 potato chip. But if we weren't just talking about 1 hour, if we were talking about all day, all week, all year, that adds up. Okay? Yeah?
What about using a computer? Is that additional?
It adds some, yeah.
4.1 or something?
Well, okay, the first thing I was going to address about that is that I said the average is about 1 calorie a minute. That's 1 MET. But thinking about each person's individual, what's 1 MET for them, if you were blessed with really nice parents who gave you really good genes, okay, you might be 1.1 already just sitting there. Or if you have a lot of muscle on your body, you do a lot of exercise, you might be up above 1. If you are someone who, whose parents gave you, this is what one of my metabolism testing clients told me. She emailed me after the fact, said, now that you've told me I have the metabolism of a common garden slug, I've decided blah, blah, blah. So, and now that's my new phrase, the metabolism of a common garden slug. Some of us, just from our genes, are going to be at 0.94 calories a minute, all right? So that makes it even more important to build our muscle and to do all those other things. But when we're moving in any way, it's going to increase metabolic costs that day. In fact, there was a research study done in like the 60s, back when they called, there was a job description called a secretary, and a piece of equipment called a typewriter, they said, we'll take a bunch of secretaries and we'll put half of them on electric typewriters and half of them on manual typewriters. Okay? And the ones who did the manual typing versus the one that did the electric typewriter, this group lost 5 pounds over the course of a year compared to this group. Okay? So this is where, you know, we try to take to heart the things that we do today, like, let me think. Do we email the person who works right there? Do we circle and circle for our closest parking spot? Do we stack things at the bottom of the stairs at home to go up later? We have things like this for everything in our lives, don't we? Our thumbs get a lot of exercise these days. Does anybody know where the button is on their TV to turn it on and change the stations? I think there are TVs now that don't even have them. I think it's all in the remote. There's no way to actually get up and change the TV. I mean, who has a garage in their home? Anybody? Just a few of you? Okay. Would you ever even consider getting out of your car, walking on over there, lifting up the garage? What? Okay? We don't do things like that. Okay, so back to the tips. What I want us to do is be systematic about this. Okay? When we become systematic about this, we say, I'm not just going to vaguely increase my activity because how often does vague work? That's like with the budget. When someone says, I'm going to try to cut back. No. $500 in restaurants in a month? No. That's not trying to cut back. Let's say I've got this many dollars to spend in a month on restaurants. And when it's gone, it's gone. So let's apply that to this. How about if we say, whenever I use the bathroom at work, I don't go to the bathroom on the same floor. I go to the floor below. Or, what's something else we could do? When I go to the grocery store, I always park there. You know, at the end. Because we hear park farther away, don't we? But that's kind of vague. How about specific instances, some specific things that we're going to do? Every time I do X, I'm going to do Y. All right? Because that's how it adds up. We really have to look at that. The pedometer thing, you all are really fortunate working on a campus like this. You have a lot of walking in your daily lives here, don't you? A lot of you. Or maybe it's possible if you wanted it to add it, right? So this is something that can really help. Linking quick exercises to existing daily rituals. I love that one. I get more ideas about this. Every time I do a seminar, somebody who is listening emails me with something they're going to do. Some of the good ones were, I have a woman who tells me she does push-ups on her bathroom sink after she gets out of the shower every morning. Okay? She's not going to do a weight training routine. It's just not where she's at right now. She's just not interested. But she does push-ups every day after the shower. That's great. Does she have to remember to do them? No, because it's just second nature. It's what she does. Just like, does someone remind you to brush your teeth? Do you have a little list in the bathroom? Brush teeth, wash, you know? We don't have to look at a list. We don't have to, we know these things. They're part of our routine. So some other things could end up getting part of our daily routine too. Oh, see, here we are. I had a slide on that one. Okay. What do most of us do while we're waiting for our computers to boot up? We sit there and we stare at the screen now, don't we? We look at that screen and we just sit there. I have someone who told me they get on the floor and they do crunches while the computer's booting up. It's just what they do. They just get in the habit. They, boop, on the floor. And they do their crunches while the computer is booting up. I mean, some of us are going to say, yes, but I don't have a door in my office. I work in a cube. Yes, I'm wearing a skirt. Okay, fine. Don't use that one. But let's think of what could work for you. Squats every time you unload the dishwasher. I don't know. Why not? I have someone who does lunges when they blow dry their hair. That's what she does. Just does lunges. Okay? And that's another example of things when you talk about non-negotiable, negotiable. A blow dry. For some women, it's non-negotiable. They've got to blow dry their hair. They wouldn't go out of the house without it. Other people, it's optional. See, my blow dry today, those of you women can tell it's not that great because I did get my workout in this morning and I ran out of time, so it was a quick blow dry. I mean, I could have cut my workout short and given it a really good blow dry for you guys. I have a little bit of frizz. Okay. Here's the next step in the speedometer, from bare minimum to up, 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 up. Okay? I call this the exercise clothes bare minimum, because the first one was not even wearing exercise clothes. This one is if you're actually going to go ahead and change into exercise clothes. I think this is something that has a lot of benefits. A lot of benefits without a lot of time investment. Only 15 minutes of walking, starts and stops at your front door. All right? Once you're done that walk, you pop on the floor, do some crunches. Okay? If you're going to pick one weight training exercise, one strengthening exercise for your muscle groups, I would pick the abs. Because a lot of us have lower back pain. Yes?
What exactly is a crunch?
You know, I wish I could demonstrate it for you right now, but I don't think my cord will let me. I'll describe it to you, though.
Is this a partial sit-up?
It is. You are going to be on the floor, lying on your back, and your knees are bent so that your feet are flat on the floor and your knees are, are bent and up. Hands can either be crossed over your chest or lightly behind your head, and you're just lifting your head and shoulders and almost your shoulder blades off the floor and coming back down. Okay? Just coming up and down. In fact, if some of this kind of information, if you'd like more of this, I can give Carolyn some links to my website where you can download some of this stuff for free. Just some of the pictures of some of the exercises and things like that. But a crunch is really, again, that's really targeting your abdominal muscles here. And there's a lot of things out there in the market, all kinds of ab gizmos, and really nothing beats a basic crunch. I mean, it's and it's free, and it's all you need is the floor. And it does phenomenal for strengthening your stomach muscles. And the lower back stretch is as simple as lying on the floor and pulling your knees into your chest. And those two things together, crunches and a lower back stretch, can alleviate something like 75% of back pain. Okay? Most back pain is due to weak abdominal muscles and tight lower back muscles. And the weak abdominal muscles tilt the pelvis forward, and we need to bring it on back. Okay? Strengthen those abdominal muscles. It's very, very effective. And doing something like this 3 times a week. Okay? Total amount of time, 20 minutes, 3 times a week. Seem reasonable for some people? Something that we could probably fit in? Okay? Next step, someone who's ready for more. Okay? Says, well, I can do that, but I think I can do even more. And they want more of the benefits of the weight training. I call this the bare medium. Okay? Or sometimes I call it the intermediate. Okay, the other one's beginner. Now, this is working up to 20 minutes of aerobic activity 3 to 4 times a week. So this is where maybe you're going to think, yeah, maybe I'll do a 4th day sometimes, not just 3, and yeah, a full 20 minutes. All right? And then you're broadening your horizons to think, well, it doesn't have to be walking. Maybe it's still walking all the time, but maybe it's an elliptical machine you have at home. Maybe it's at a gym. Maybe it's jogging or swimming, whatever. But it's, you give yourself a few more choices here. And then a short circuit of weight training exercises 2 to 3 times a week. Now, this is where the idea about weight training, where I want to give you just a quick little list of how you get through that. Okay? There's about 10 major muscle groups in the body. All right? And you do one exercise that targets each of those major muscle groups. And for the bare minimum for this kind of routine, it's just one set. So the exercise for your chest, you do about 12 repetitions. Okay? Go to the exercise for your back. You do 12 repetitions. Biceps, 12 repetitions. Okay? You go through your little list. You got 10 exercises. Boom. They're done in about 12 minutes. All right? Now, in the beginning, it takes a little bit of time to learn them, get the form down pat. Okay? This can be done at a gym. A lot of you have seen that, right? You got the person there, the fitness instructor, saying, here's the circuit, go through it. Okay? And they show you how to do each one. At home, the routine that I have in my book, for example, is dumbbells, like probably 2 sets of dumbbells, an exercise ball, and the rubber tubing with handles. Okay? Very inexpensive equipment. In about 15 minutes or less, you can do every muscle group in your body. And that's a good option for people who don't want to have the travel time. Okay? By now, the way I have exercise in my life, I'm not going to include travel time on top of that. I want my workout time to be, this is all it is. I don't want any padding, extra time at all. So I exclusively exercise at home these days. Sometimes it's a long, big, long workout. Sometimes it's a short, little, quick one. So I vary it based on what I have available that day. But this kind of thing, this is where you can, again, shoot yourself in the foot by saying, yeah, but aren't you supposed to vary the exercises? And so in a perfect world, yes. If you're not going to vary the exercises, should you just not do weight training at all? No. Right. The last thing I want to say about this is about the weight. Okay, the amount of weight. How heavy should the weight be? Who knows the answer? Right, it shouldn't hurt, but it should be difficult. Exactly. What you want to do is for general conditioning, it's usually 8 to 15 repetitions. You need to reach fatigue, somewhere between 8 and 15 repetitions, in order for it to be the right size dumbbells. And that is the #1 mistake of most women. Okay? They get the pink and purple dumbbells that are 1, 2, and 3 pounds, and they could do about 3 billion of them. But they stop at 12 because they know you're supposed to do 12. All right? So you need to get the size dumbbell that causes fatigue at 12. Not just do 12 because you're supposed to do 12. All right? So if you can get to 12 and you're still going and you're talking to your friend, oh yeah, I passed 12 now, didn't I? And you're still smiling, that's not the right size dumbbell. All right? Most women are trying to do bicep curls with a 5-pound dumbbell. All right? I will tell you, within a couple weeks, you could be juggling 5-pound dumbbells. Okay? You need 15s. Maybe 12s or 10s, but certainly not 5s. And you won't know that until you try. And a lot of us don't try. We try the 5s, and okay, well, this feels hard. But you don't really know what's hard until you try the 8s. And then, okay, I'll try the 10s. You say, oh, no, that wasn't hard. This is hard. You won't know until you try progressively the different weights. And you get to one that okay, that one's too heavy. The one before was it. Okay, you want to be able to do it in good form, but you want to reach fatigue, and really fatigue. Okay, this is the biggest one, the most comprehensive exercise routine, the full-fledged program, where I call this advanced sometimes. This is where someone's doing 20 to 60 minutes of cardio, okay? Maybe sometimes it's a quick 20. If they're late for, the bus or whatever reason, it's quick 20. Other times or days of the week or phases of the year, it's closer to 45 or 60. Maybe during the week you have 2 quick 20-minute cardios with a round through the weights, and then you go for a 60-minute walk every weekend. Something like that. All right, some kind of meshing of the two. Your weight training is where you're doing more than 1 set per muscle group. And this is where the fun comes in if you call this fun. All right? Some people say, oh, I'm going to do 2 sets for the chest. So instead of just doing the chest press, I'm going to do 1 set of chest press and 1 set of dumbbell flies. Or on Wednesday, I'm going to do 2 sets of flies. And on Friday, I'm bumping it up to 3 sets. 1 set of bench, 1 set of flies, 1 set of cable crossovers. Okay? Maybe that's what you do. Someone else is doing 6 sets just for that 1 muscle group. 3 of this, 3 chest bench press, 3 flies. That's where you just, if someone is at that point, it's a hobby, and, they're on autopilot. They don't need to be reminded. Okay? And they can juggle it around all you want. But so usually most of the talks that I do, most of the clients that I work with are not at this level, because if they're at this level, they don't really, they need me or they need someone like me to help them design something, but they're pretty much, can go ahead on their own. They don't need help with the motivation. All right? The desk bound. Okay. This is the third part of our talk today. So we've gone through the motivational stuff. We've gone through the real, true fitness routines. I'm hoping that of those levels that we talked about, that each of you are thinking to yourself, which of those levels do I think I fit in? I might slide up, I might slide down. It's fluid, but one of them should be most likely where you are. Okay? Now, for the times that you're actually at your desk, let's talk about what you can do at work when you are the busy professional at your desk. The first thing is ergonomics. This is not an ergonomics talk. We could talk for a whole hour, but we basically know hips, knees, elbows, all that stuff close to 90 degrees, right? Okay? Looking straight ahead. You don't want your keyboard here and your screen over there. We know this is not good, talking on the phone like that. We know that we're not supposed to be sitting with our rear ends on the edge of the chair and our back way back there. In fact, would you do a favor and wheel that chair over to me? The chair right next to you that no one's sitting in? Because I have to demonstrate a few things, and I know that my leash is not going to allow me. Thank you very much. Okay. So there's some exercises I'm going to be demonstrating, but as far as the sitting thing, this is the proper sitting position, is it not? Pretty good? 9 degrees, 9 degrees? Okay. What about this one?
Looks good.
Looks good. We want to think about this. And also, as far as our back muscles go and our shoulder muscles, most of the time we are in a little bit of a hunched position. That's why this kind of a stretch, while it feels good, is not really the one that we need so much. Okay, we're already like that. We want to reverse that, stretch the chest muscles. Okay, keep the shoulders back. That's what's going to be even more valuable to us as people who sit at a desk too much. All right, using our stomach muscles to kind of contract them can be really helpful as well, rather than just, again, letting things just, blob out. You kind of want to hold as firm as you can. Now, if you look at the next couple tips up here, taking breaks when you can, because most of us, a lot of times if we have a really busy project or day, we just think we're just going to power on through it, right? When actually getting out, walking around is going to help our muscles, it's going to help our oxygenation, we're going to feel a lot better. So really, I have people who've told me they've decided to put a little timer, or there's usually some kind of bell. You can make your computer ding, right? You can do that. I know that it's possible. I have not done that myself, but I know that I could probably figure it out if I wanted to. So you could make it ding at 3 o'clock, and that's your reminder to get up, walk around a little bit, and come back. I'm going to show you some exercises you can do at your desk. But if you feel like you're desk-bound, and a lot of us feel that way at certain times or phases or days, then these are the things that we can do at the time. It makes the regular non-desk exercises even more important. Okay? Because we talked about getting up and down, how valuable that is, in general, having a lifestyle or a job where you're not sitting constantly for 8 hours. If someone has a job which requires standing and walking, all the better. But if you don't, then it makes what you do outside that 8 hours even more important. Okay, doubly more important. So here's what you can do at your desk. I'm going to go through a series of stretches you can do. Okay, there are some strengthening exercises that you can do, but I want this little mini under-desk bicycle. I put that up there, and a lot of us, we want to chuckle at that, but there's a client of mine who I put this up there because she bought it. She's like, had never even heard of it or seen it. And she's like, have you heard, have you seen? And she bought one, and she wasn't really ready to incorporate regular exercise outside of, her business day into her life. She bought one of these things, and she would be at her desk just pedal, 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 pedaling away, and it was a lot more activity than she was getting before. It helps. It improves. Again, you are getting, increased blood flow, increased oxygenation to your muscles and your brain. You will just feel better the more your body moves, period. So if it's not traditional, who cares? Whatever you can think of to move your body more. Okay? And in fact, something reminded me the other day of my grandmother. I remember when I was a kid, she told me that her, that way, a long time ago when she was a young mother, that her and all the women on her block would stand at the kitchen table and go like this. And they would just swing, swing, swing their legs. And, I was thinking about that the other day. It's like, you know what? It's not what we do today, but they were making attempts to move their bodies. And this was, I think it was like, she's talking about the 20s or 30s. It's all good. Okay, the stretches. I'm going to sit down, pretend I'm at my desk and you're at your desks, and we're going to go through these together. The first one is with the hands, and where you just open and close your fingers. And when you try this with me, you will realize, wow, I don't usually stretch my fingers out all that big, do I? And it feels really good, doesn't it? Okay? Because our poor hands are used so much. Didn't we talk about our clickers and our everything? These poor finger and hand muscles, they get used a lot more than they used to. The next thing is wrist rolls. Okay? And this is important because, again, we really are mousing all the time. So that's a good thing to do. Ear to shoulder, just head over, and then the other one. Okay. Head turns side to side. Now, all these neck muscles, again, they're just lots of little thready neck muscles that really can benefit from moving. Shoulder circles, up and around. Up and around. And then the shrugs is when you're just lifting them up and down. Okay? Up and down. Now, the upper back stretch, I mentioned this isn't not the one we need the most, but we just, we toss it in because it is good to do at least for a minute here. Rounding up through the upper back. But then the next step, I take this all the way up. You raise it up overhead, and then you grab one wrist and you lift up and hold, and you'll feel that up through your rib cage and the other side up here. Bring it all the way down. Watch out for your neighbor. Hands behind your head. Elbows back. Can you do that? Good. And then once you're in this position, you let your hands fall open. Now, this is where you do watch out for your neighbor. You might need to turn sideways. When you let your hands fall out open, do you feel it in your biceps? Okay, right through here. And then the tricep stretch, when this arm is back up, and you're kind of pulling this back overhead. Okay, and the other one. Now, your hip and back stretch, for those of you who can cross your legs, you can put a leg over this, but you don't even have to cross your legs. For some people, it's uncomfortable to cross your legs. You can really just sit straight on here, and then you twist to one side. Now, if you have your leg over and you're twisting, you always say, did I go the right direction? So I always say go both. Go both ways. Because that way you know you hit the right one way. And then really the way that you feel the most stretch is when you're going over the leg that's crossed over. Okay? Now, a hamstring stretch, this is my favorite one. And if you only do one stretch that I show you today, this is the one I want you to do because we all have the most to gain from it. And we're on wheeled chairs, so you're going to have to hold on tight. And we promise not to laugh if you fall. Okay? Push away from the table just a little bit if you need to, and you're going to sit on the edge of your chair. And you're going to hold on tight, right? Lay your leg out like this. Just lay it out front. And everybody can do this stretch. Anybody should be able to do this stretch. You're holding on, and then just lean forward. Did your hamstring muscle just jump out and say hello? Yeah. Okay. Other one? So we don't want to be uneven here. I want to feel good in both. That one should feel good. Okay? You don't have to lean far to feel that hamstring stretch, do you? Okay? Ankle circles is just, you can all do that. In fact, you don't have to cross your legs either. Just pick your foot up. Okay? And pointing and flexing it. Okay? The lower back stretch, this is one everybody thinks is so funny, but you're sitting and your feet are really wide, and you're just going to lower down. People say, oh, it looks like I'm hiding from my boss, Where did she go? Somebody walks by. Okay, come back up. Okay, but anything that puts your lower back in a rounded C shape is going to be good for the lower back. Okay, yeah.
When those exercises, how many are you supposed to do on each side?
The ones we just did, these stretches, just what we did. You just go through, just hold each one for a couple seconds. We went through this whole little series of stretches, in about 2 or 3 minutes. So yeah, you can just do each of them once. And I think that it might be in your packet as a separate handout, is it? Like at the end? If it's not, I can get it sent to you guys. I thought they, does it say time out for a stretch break? Yeah, there it is. Okay?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
A chiropractor told me that it was not a good idea to cross your legs as a matter of routine
Yes.
while sitting.
Right.
Is that accurate?
Yes. The thing about extended period of time, to cross your legs for a minute to do a stretch is okay.
Yeah.
Whenever you cross your legs for an extended period of time, you're just compressing blood vessels, and it leads to a decrease in circulation. Yeah. Yeah, it's not the healthiest way to sit. Yeah. Okay, some quick strengthening exercises that you could do at your desk. Now, these are not ideal. They're not, going to do a ton for you. They're not equal to weight training. But where does this category fall into? If you're not going to do anything at all, hey, why not contract some muscles? Sucking in your stomach muscles, right? Contracting those glute muscles, just like in the 70s, you read a magazine article about do that at every red light. Crunches. Remember, you can do that at your desk. Push-ups on the floor or on your desk, just like I told you my client does them on the sink after her shower. You can do push-ups on your desk, right? Sit on an exercise ball at your desk. These are just ideas. Okay, where do you go from here? This is just a few wrap-up slides to kind of get us on our way and kind of thinking. I really, again, like to have our time together spent with you, maybe thinking about what you actually might take away. Like, are there some things you might actually be able to do differently after investing an hour of your time to come today? A fit lifestyle is progressive. There's no train to catch. You don't have to already be there. I have a poster hanging on my wall in my exercise room that shows a woman on a weight bench, and she's wiping her brow, and the tagline is, "There is no finish line." And it's a Nike poster. It's about 100 years old from one of their campaigns way long ago. But I'm not a competitive athlete. I don't really care about running faster or doing better. I just do what I do, and I've been doing the same darn thing for a long time as far as my exercise routine. And it's just a matter of, keeping on going, because that's the way you live your life, and that, incrementally, things can grow or they cannot. That's one of the reasons why I don't like to call my exercise progressions, the different routines that I gave you, beginner, intermediate, advanced, because sometimes that makes people think, well, if they're beginner, they've got to get to intermediate or they've got to get to advanced. You don't have to. You can stay in one of the earlier ones forever, and that's just fine. We talked about how once you have habit, the content can grow and evolve, okay, and just see what happens. Now, we know that exercise is never going to be urgent. It's never going to be the most important thing on your to-do list, so how can we make sure that it gets done? Unless you actually protect it on your schedule in some way, and again, reframe how you look at this, it's always going to go, because there's always going to be someone calling you and say, hey, can you meet with me at 1? Hey, can you, do this instead of the other? And when you're looking and you're thinking you plan on exercising, a lot of us are way too quick to get rid of the workout and do what the person asks us to do. Now, certainly we know we have to leave it up to our judgment to know when we have to jump, when they say jump. But there are other situations when someone contacts us about a meeting or a project when we really probably could say, you know what, Thursday at 12 won't work for me. How about Friday at 10? And the person might say, okay. And they didn't even ask you why. Does it matter? Do we have to tell everybody who I was going to exercise at that time? No one's going to do this for us. Last time I checked, nobody told me, hey, you go work out, I'll take care of this. I'm waiting. I'm still waiting. No one's ever said that to me. All right, unless I'm going to take time out of my schedule to do my workout, it's not going to happen. So it's again this thing about really taking ownership of it. Avoiding this all or none thinking, again, it's huge, absolutely huge. Once we really take to heart the fact that even really tiny, tiny amounts of physical activity can bring us enormous benefits, and really feel good about that, because no one can do it for you. We cannot delegate this. Okay? There are things you can delegate and things you can't, so can't delegate that. Now, what do all successful exercisers have in common? Because when we want to be successful in business or in anything, we want to look at the people who are successful, correct? For instance, people who want to lose weight. Whenever you look at the National Weight Registry, people who have been successful in losing weight and keeping it off, who knows what the number one thing is that they all have in common? What was it? Consistency. One of the most important things they have in common is food diaries, writing down what they eat. A lot of people say, I hate that. I hate writing down what I eat. But that's one of the things that they have in common. So if you want to be successful, start writing down what you eat. Start thinking about that second, Reese's peanut butter cup or that, we got to write that down. You think. If you're going to have to write down, same thing with spending. If you had to write down every time you spent money, you might think twice before we spend. So it's all very similar principles here. Some of these things, again, seem like they're the same tips you'd read in a magazine, but it's because they really work, and people try to get around them. An activity they enjoy. People say, yeah, well, duh, but people all the time ask them, yeah, but isn't this one better for you than this one? It's like, no, what's better for you is the one you're actually going to do. The one you really enjoy. A backup plan, like for business travel, okay? Or like, yes, this is what my plan is when I go to the gym, but when I don't have time to go to the gym, this is what I do. All right? A common thread, really important. When it's just you against the world, we don't tend to be as successful. Something else that strings the weeks and months together. Okay? How do you get started? Making a commitment, deciding you're going to do something, making some specific suggestions, whether it's going to be writing on your calendar when you're going to work out. A lot of us only write things down on our day planners when they involve other people. Right? The meetings we have with other people, appointments, haircut, a meeting, picking somebody up. When we're just going to work out by ourselves, we didn't write it down. Okay? But research shows once it's actually written on your calendar, we're more likely to do it, whatever it is. Okay? Support friends, anticipating those roadblocks. Hey, how many of us wake up thinking, when are we going to work out today? You always dream, right? So what are we waiting for? Right? Could do something. So does anybody have any questions? Oh, we're done here? With a mini bike, you know what? Amazon, any websites. If you go onto Google and you type in mini under desk exerciser, it'll pop on up on 300 different websites you could order one from. Yeah.
You have a website? Is it?
I do. My website is on the back of your packet. Yeah. Yeah. My main business website is fitness-insight.com. And that links over. I have a website for my a Busy Mom. It's called Busy Mom Solutions. Is my mom book website. But my main business website is on there, and I'll click you on to all my things. But thank you all. Oh, yes.
One final question. I just mentioned Busy Moms. Any quick tips for? I have 2 toddlers. Any quick tips for getting exercise in toddlers?
Yes. Put them in the stroller, and don't tell them that the playground is close by. Tell them you're going to the playground and take the long way. Yeah. Okay. I'll hang out if you have any questions one-on-one, and thank you for coming. Please do those evaluations. Thank you.